In the small village of Zumba, where whispers flowed like the river that nourished its fields, a couple named Okori and Nina endured a decade of silence in their home. Childlessness branded them with an invisible curse in the eyes of their neighbors, who speculated and was convinced that their situation was a punishment for some unseen transgression. Rumors swirled in the evenings, cloaked in the shadows of the palm trees, and the couple became the subject of hushed conversations, avoided and scorned. Their isolation weighed heavily on them, their hearts burdened with the longing for a child. As the years passed, Okari poured himself into his work, tending to his farm, while Nina found solace in the beauty of the land that surrounded them, the vibrant greens of cassava, the yellows of maize, and the deep browns of rich soil. Yet, each season that passed without a child deepened their sorrow. Despite their love for one another, the silence in their home echoed louder than the laughter of children, and they often sought comfort in the embrace of the land, hoping it would somehow fill the void. One fateful morning, Nina awoke feeling nauseous and weak, a sensation unfamiliar and concerning. As she lay in bed, she sensed a shift within her, something awakening after years of dormancy. Okari, noticing her distress, hurried to her side, worry etched across his brow. He insisted they visit the village's only herbalist, a wise old woman known for her extensive knowledge of medicinal plants and spiritual remedies. The herbalist's hut was a haven of fragrant herbs, hanging from the ceiling and spilling from baskets that filled the corners. After examining Nina and conducting a series of rituals, the herbalist's eyes sparkled with a mix of disbelief and joy. "You are with child," she declared, her voice a melody of hope. "The gods have their own timing, and now they have chosen to bless you." Overwhelmed with joy, Okari barely registered the herbalist's instructions. All he could think about was the prospect of finally becoming a father. He dedicated himself to caring for Nina, ensuring her comfort and safety throughout the pregnancy. In his fervor, however, he neglected his annual sacrifices to the gods, believing that his devotion to his wife sufficed after years of suffering. Nina, wrapped in the warmth of impending motherhood, hardly noticed the absence of offerings, too lost in dreams of their future daughter. As the months passed, the couple's joy grew alongside Nina's belly. They painted their dreams with vibrant colors, imagining the laughter that would soon fill their home. Yet, amidst their bliss, whispers began to change. The villagers, who had once scorned them, now watched with a mix of envy and skepticism. They could not understand how the couple, whom they believed to be cursed, could be favored by the gods. In a blink, 9 months passed and Nina gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. The couple named them Kem and Chioma, meaning my own and good fortune, vowing to protect their children from the villagers who had shunned them. In the sanctuary of their home, they celebrated the arrival of Nkem and Chioma, bathing them in love and warmth, shielding them from the harshness of the outside world. As Nkem and Chioma grew, their bond deepened. They were inseparable, forged in shared laughter and whispered secrets under the stars. Nkem, with his strong physique and protective nature, often took on the role of Chioma's guardian, warning her against the men who approached her as she blossomed into a stunning beauty. The siblings forged a world of their own, one filled with adventures in the lush forests surrounding Zumba, far from the prying eyes of villagers who had once judged their family. Years passed, and Kem became a strong, handsome young man, while Chioma, with her captivating beauty, attracted admirers from Zumba and beyond. But despite her many suitors, none returned to pay Chioma's dowry. This failure weighed heavily on Okari and Nina, who feared their daughter would be left alone, abandoned just as they had once been. In the shadows of their hearts, the fear of repeating their own past loomed large. Chioma, despite her beauty, often retreated into herself, feeling unworthy and believing that her past might haunt her future. Nkem remained her steadfast supporter, comforting her through her darkest moments. She wrestled with a sense of inadequacy. "What if they can see the shadows of our past?" she would whisper to him, her voice trembling. Nkem, ever the protector, would squeeze her hand, assuring her that their family's history did not define her worth. One day, a dashing young hunter named Udoka from the neighboring village of Omolo arrived in Zumba. His charm and confidence caught Chioma's attention, igniting a spark of hope within her. Unlike the other suitors, he made her heart flutter, drawing her in with tales of his adventures and dreams. In a moment of vulnerability, she urged him not to leave, sensing an unexplainable foreboding that something precious might slip away. Udoka, attuned to her fears, decided to stay with a friend that night instead of returning home. The air was thick with unspoken promises, and Chioma felt a surge of happiness, convinced that her dreams were finally within reach. But fate, it seemed, had darker plans. That night, as Chioma slept, an unseen stranger broke into her room. The darkness wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. She awoke to a nightmare, her pleas for help silenced by the force of her attacker. Despite her struggles, she was overpowered, left in a state of devastation. In the aftermath, Chioma sobbed, feeling as if her life had shattered. She had kept herself pure for her husband-to-be, and now she feared she would be tainted forever. Minutes later, Nkem came to check on his sister, the sun just beginning to rise. He found her in agony, blood staining her bed. Instinctively, he shouted for help, but Chioma, terrified of the repercussions, begged him to remain silent. She couldn't bear the thought of losing Udoka, fearing that the news of her assault would ruin any chance of a future with him. "Please, Nkem. If they find out, it will destroy everything," she pleaded, desperation etched in her features. Despite his own turmoil, Nkem focused on her needs. "I'll fetch you herbs," he whispered, his heart racing with fear and uncertainty. He rushed to the herbalist's hut, his mind a storm of confusion and rage. What had happened to his sister felt like a violation not just of her body, but of their family's very essence. The thought of the stranger who had invaded their sanctuary filled him with an urge to seek vengeance, but he swallowed his rage, knowing Chioma's wishes came first. He returned with the herbs, his hands trembling as he helped Chioma clean herself and her room. Each movement felt heavy, laden with the weight of what had transpired. They worked in silence, the enormity of their shared secret hanging between them like a fragile thread. As dawn approached, Chioma managed to compose herself, determined to face her parents without revealing the truth. The sun rose over Zumba, casting a harsh light on their secret. Chioma knew the danger she faced if her shame was discovered, yet she also understood that the facade she maintained was built on fragile foundations. As she prepared to step into the world again, the weight of her unspoken truth pressed heavily on her heart, intertwining her fate with that of her brother, her family, and the village that had once turned its back on them. Days turned into weeks, and the family continued with their lives, a delicate dance around the unspeakable truth. Chioma wore her smile like a mask, and Nkem became increasingly protective, sensing the pain beneath her facade. Udoka remained unaware of the turmoil within her, showering her with affection and compliments, his eyes alight with admiration, but Chioma's heart was a battlefield, torn between the love she felt for Udoka and the trauma that haunted her.